So one of the really interesting things in yoga is when you're doing postures is to observe the effect of your mind upon your body. And you don't think about it so much, but when you're doing postures, you can stretch and all those things, and there is some stiffness in your body that's from its physical parts. But there's also part of it that comes from your mental complexes and things that you store inside. And I had from my own experience a really interesting experience of this happening. I was in India. It was the first time I was ever there, and I had this point where I wanted to go home. I was homesick. I'd always had this problem since I was a kid, and again and again I would go somewhere and after some time want to come back. And it would be in less time than when I planned to come. And so I'd come to that point in Jadon, and when you're homesick, everything's bad. The food tasted awful, it was too dusty, it was too sunny, it was too windy, the people were irritating me, just everything was bad about what was going on. And this was going on for days and days and days, and I went to my master, to Guruji, and I had this whole list of things in my head about reasons why I needed to go back to Australia, and they were pretty good. At least I thought so. And I went to him and told him and said, I have to go back because of this and this, and the work where I was working, they didn't manage someone to replace me, and I need to take care of the kids who I was treating there and so on. And he kind of looked at me and said, well, how long's your visa? And I said, well, my visa's for 6 months, and I'd already been there 3 months. And he said, that's great. Then after 6 months, go to Nepal and get an extension for your visa and come back. And I was shattered, and then going around the ashram and thinking, I can't stay here. The food is so bad. Everything is so bad. And eventually one day I was in the fields with one friend, and we were digging holes. And we were digging holes in this ridiculously hard ground and trying to put a pick into it, and nothing's coming out. And we were planting olive trees of all the things to plant in the middle of the desert, which is interesting because I saw now that olive trees grow really well in Rajasthan. And the sun was setting, this huge orange ball, and he looked at it and went, that's so beautiful. And I looked at it and I looked at him and I thought, you're mad. There's nothing beautiful here at all. How can you even say that it's beautiful? Because inside me was just this churning of not wanting to be there. This homesickness was was clouding every part of my thought. And then I looked at it again and I thought, well, yeah, it's beautiful. Because the sunset, when it sets in, it's so big and it's so round and it's just orange, like a ball that seems to go down really quickly over the horizon in the desert. And at that moment something happened. It was just like a melting, and the food started to taste good. I didn't mind the dust anymore, and the homesickness was completely gone. And it's never actually come back. Now I'm quite free of that issue. But the interesting part of it was in the morning. When I was studying, I studied as a physio, and when I used to go to uni and the tutors would want to show how inflexible a human could be, they'd call me to the front of the class and they'd get me to try and touch my toes, and my hands would just reach somewhere just past my knees. There was a little bit of improvement, but my toes were still a very distant dream of ever touching them with my knees straight. And the next morning after that experience with the sunset and letting go, I came out to do the same postures I do every morning and just reached down and touched the ground and put my hands flat on the floor. And I kind of thought, well, that's weird. Got back up and did it again. It was the same. Got back up and did it again. And then I called the other guys from in the room. Said, come and look at this, because they all knew about my inflexibility. And they're looking and going, well, what should we say about that? And it was just that tension that was stored in my body. That tension, for me, my issue of homesickness. And as soon as it was gone, then that blockage was gone, and it was there. That flexibility was there. And as a physio, that was so strange and so unlogical Because science teaches you that you can stretch, and gradually you stretch more and you release, and then your muscles get longer. But here was something that just happened overnight, and quite a significant distance. And that's yoga on its other part. That's when you let go mentally. That's when you let go and really let yourself go into the pose. Allow yourself to stretch, and allow yourself to somehow to just let go. That's it.